Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Ia Patsy, and you're like, what the heck is she doing up so early, and why is she dolled up? Well, I'm up so early because I actually need to go into the city today, and I have a homegoing service to attend for my pastor, pastor of the church that I belong to. I do have a church affiliation. Uh, like I've spoken about before, since I was a kid, I chose to be a member of the Church of God in Christ. The rest of my family members are Baptist. I, you know, my mother and my sisters are Baptist. I don't know what my brother is. I think he's Baptist too. But I chose to attend the Church of God in Christ ever since I was a little girl. And so I've always had my membership there. And even when I moved from Brooklyn and moved out to Nassau County, New York, um, shout out Nassau County. Um, Good morning, whoever's here, please give it a thumbs up so that other people that are subscribed can get the notification that I'm doing this reading. Good morning. Well, I haven't started anything yet. All right. Dr. Giora Singal. Okay. Aura Singal. What am I doing? Anyway, I'm trying to pronounce your name. But good morning. Good morning, Monique. Good morning. Um, yeah, so um I got a phone call earlier this week saying that the pastor of the he's a pastor emeritus, right, at this point. He had passed away. And not only have I been a member of that church, of that denomination since I was like, okay, hi Doc. Um, I've been a member of that church since I was a kid. So um, and I've grown up with his family. This particular, my pastor, this in particular, I grew up with his kids, and over the years, I've gone and done my own things because I just got to the place where I felt that my connection with God was more important than my affiliation with any particular denomination. And so I'm more on a spiritual journey than a religious habit, or trying. Thank you so much, Monique. Thank you. So I'm like I said, I've known these people since I was a little girl, and they're really nice folks, really nice folks. But they're very committed to the Church of God in Christ doctrine, which if I wasn't if I wasn't led to do what I'm doing, then that would be where I would stay. And I don't know. I was always rebellious. I don't know if I would be sticking to that doctrine as much, but I understand the holiness is their mantra, and so I understand that it's very restrictive and very chauvinistic and all of those other good things that I don't like. So, but when you feel that you can't be, mm, when you can't conform to certain things, no sense of sitting there being miserable. It's it's more important than that. If you are involved in a religious doctrine or something that doesn't speak to you in certain ways or whatever. It's just a doctrine and it's just an organization. And so I guess I wasn't under the pressure to continue, or remain there on a regular basis, like going to church every Sunday and all of that. I was led not to do it anymore. I wasn't going to be disrespectful, but I wasn't going to fight. I wasn't going to argue. And I came to the conclusion that we all have our paths to God. And I was going to seek my path. And that wasn't putting any shade on their path, you know. But I had seen, I had the privilege, I guess, the opportunity to see a lot of things, especially when you're close to a family that are the spiritual leaders of the church. And there's certain things that you come to understand, and there's other things that you know, come to realize, And I just, there was a series of unfortunate events that occurred. I'm trying to get the energies while I'm shuffling. We're going to be using the Divine Feminine and Masculine Reunited Guidebook. And so this is a general reading for Virgo. I just figured I'd just use these cards. I just got them last week. And this speaks to those people who are in union in a twin flame relationship. Of course, all other messages will be coming through. But it's broken down into 4 sections: one section for the masculine energy, one section for the feminine energy, one section for the shadow, and one section for the light. The light would be the lesson or the tools that you need to employ in order to get through the shadow. Okay, so this doesn't want to come yet. Let's leave it. Maybe it needs to marinate and hear what everybody else has to say. So let's just start up with this reading. So anyway, like I was saying, I have to go into Manhattan and drive in, and I want to pay my respects. Just because I feel like that. So anyway, for the masculine energy today, we have Aries, number 6. So we know 6 is love, all right? Aries is the god of battle. So, Virgo, seems like maybe those of you who are resonating with the masculine energy, it's so early in the morning. I don't even know where the sun is in this room this early, where these cards are concerned. Okay, so the energy of Aries, that's war, that's Mars, right? Mars energy, warrior energy. So ready for some type of battle, right? Because they're saying that he is the god of battle. All right, so this is something that you are going to be dealing with for this coming month, Virgo. Let's see what that is. Number 6. Okay. Excuse me 1 second. Yeah. Okay, pages stuck together. Okay, and it is hot already. Hello, I'm present with you today to talk about the segment of the wounded masculine, part of the masculine that warped from his innate inner qualities surrounding action and protectiveness. What I'm referring to is the part of the masculine heart that went to war and is still yet to return. Due to the rise of religion and war and the fall of consciousness, many battles have been fought, and the subsequent effects have been immense. When the masculine left his feminine at home to go to war, He did so with the intent to protect and serve her and his community. In order to do this, he had to detach from his detach from his tender heart. In order to do this, in order to serve her and the community, he had to detach from his tender heart. Consequently, he did such a great job of this that there's still a part of his heart that is hardened. Can you see this occurring around you? As mirrored opposites, two halves of a whole, every wounding that the masculine has, the female has a wound to match. The feminine who waited for the masculine to return has had a piece of her nurturing twisted into a sense of desperation. These are the wounds that are prevalent in your time, being pulled up to the surface to be triggered and worked through, and therefore resolved. Know that as you experience these themes, they are presenting themselves to be transmuted. All is in order, all is in the highest good of all. So there may be a situation that you come in contact with during this month, uh, Virgo, that is going to cause you to revisit a hurt or to allow the part of you that you've closed off from hurt to mm, be opened again, or at least revisit how you got there, or why that part of you remains closed off to love or to community or to whatever it is. Um, Something that you have been protecting yourself from while you've been protecting everybody else. There's something that is going on, perhaps, that you have been protecting yourself from. And this may be what you'll be dealing with for the time period of August. So between now and the end of August, the female energy that we are dealing with, that you, Virgo, will be dealing with this month, the month of August, now into the end of August, let's say, is number 8, Hach Mama, the goddess of forgiveness. So this would be speaking to the understanding that you're going to be gaining this month as you're dealing with helping the masculine unveil or unpack this hardness. Maybe the hardness is something that you didn't forgive him for in the past. Maybe it's something that you all don't speak about that happened in the past. Something that happened while you were separated, or maybe something that happened in the past if you've known each other before. Could be whatever happened in a past life. But there's some forgiveness or some challenge maybe to being forgiven this month that will come up for you, Virgo females. 4:38. Is it 4:30 in the morning where you are, Monique? Oh my Lord. Well, thank you so much for being here with me. Pachama speaks. My dear child, I'm watching over you all, and I feel your pain. Oh, Arizona. Okay. I feel the deep hurts that are now so deeply entrenched within our collective that Mother Earth herself is embedded to her core with this pain. What I have to share with you today is so fundamentally important at this time that you can consider it one of the main cornerstones to your healing. Forgiveness is the medicine humanity needs. Ashe. It is integral to know, it is integral to know that forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you. Holding on to hatred, anger, and bitterness only makes you heavy. It stops you from being able to attract lightness into your life. It closes your heart. It keeps your energy blocked and stagnant. For way too long, you have been harboring hatred, pain, and resentment in your bodies, your consciousness, your cellular memory, and ancestral lines. Forgiving someone does not condone the behaviors that they've shown you, and it certainly doesn't mean that they can violate your boundaries again. It is to release the pain. It is not to say that the pain never existed. It is to release you from being trapped in that energy loop, feeling like the betrayal is still occurring in the present. This is how radical change can manifest for you, to assist in releasing the old paradigm and to building a new foundation of love, of harmony, and of joy. So, letting go of past hurts, anger, resentment, jealousies, um, things that really don't serve you, probably don't even figure in your day-to-day life anymore. This may be something that happened a long time ago. It may have something to do with the divine. It may have something to do with his family. It could have something to do with institutions, that you all may have worked at or gone to school in or something like that. But there's something that you need to forgive for your own sake, for your own growth, because holding on to that energy isn't serving you and it's not serving your relationship. It's not serving your union. All right. It may be something that you need to forgive the masculine for that he doesn't even know. And maybe that's the battle that he is fighting because he doesn't even understand what it is that is holding you. I say it doesn't understand what it is that's holding you back, but he can feel it. And so, because we mirror each other, the part of you that's not forgiving is mirroring the part of him that isn't open. So that's what the conflict may be. Thank you all for coming. Please make sure that you give us likes so that more people can know that I'm up and on. Thank you so much because I did not send out notifications because, like I said, I'm getting ready to go to a funeral. Y'all know, y'all don't see me with all of this going on, but I'm, trying to be comfortable, trying to get to the services on time. I know I will, but, never know with traffic here in New York. It could be anything. Okay, so the shadow for you all this time period coming for August 2018 is number 7, physical ailment. Physical ailment. So something that hurts you could be a chronic disease, like I have MS, could be more serious than that. Could be that a pain or blockage may be causing you pain. That may be the cause of your pain and you're not aware of it. Every single physical ailment is directly linked to an emotional or energetic cause. Every single one. Dis-ease causes disease. This is not to say that the physical ailment is not real and that it does not need to be addressed, because it is real and it does need to be addressed. But without looking into the original emotional or energetic cause, you may end up dealing with a physical ailment that either cannot be cured or, if cured, recurs again in some stage down the track. Energy slowly comes further down your auric field, AURIC, auric field. Okay, so that's your aura. And if it is not removed before it reaches your physical body, it'll eventually become a physical ailment. So, what is the best course of action when dealing with a physical ailment? Get yourself temporary comfort for the pain before tackling the ailment itself. Research what particular ailments are linked. Research what particular ailments are linked to emotionally. Then simultaneously work on finding the emotional cause while you get treatment for the now existing physical ailment itself. Let us use a sore jaw that is out of alignment as an example. Googling jaw pain emotional cause may show you that jaw pain is linked to holding in anger. So, holistic counseling sessions discussing issues surrounding repressed anger in conjunction with sessions with a physiotherapist for the jaw ailment and pain itself can lead to your ailment being healed entirely. So basically, using medicine and science and holistic approaches, spirituality, checking into your doing your research behind the disease or the ailment or the pain, and then understanding it and working with it. Okay, like in Ifa, right, in Yoruba, if you have a pain in your back, in your lower back a lot, right? They say that that is your ego. They're on you. They're trying to be present. They're trying to communicate with you. Okay. Um, I've spoken before. I have multiple sclerosis, right, which is a disease that affects the your nervous system, where mm, like a circuit, right? And so if you open up a electrical circuit, you'll see all of these wires inside, and each of those wires are different colors because they're protecting each wire from slamming against one another and causing misfires, right? So when you have MS, that lining, that covering, those colors that we see inside of an electric cord, for instance, those colors, the protective covering, the sheath over the wire starts to unravel or starts to dissolve. And that's what happens with multiple sclerosis. So you get uh, wires that are now exposed. And when certain things happen and they hit against each other, you'll get misfirings. All right. My first real evidence of multiple sclerosis was losing my eyesight in my right eye, which I've gotten back, thank God. But that happened to me twice within the same year. That's scary. So, and when I found out what it was, um, I didn't freak out. You know, my family was like, ah. I was like, wait a minute, wait, let's just back this down. All right, I have a chronic disease, but they didn't say I was dying. You know, um, they're just saying that this is I have to work at it. I have to treat it. I have to, do the things that the doctor prescribed. But I also knew growing up all my life that my aunt, who was a person that was a spiritualist and who I was very close to, always complained of fibromyalgia. And fibromyalgia is kind of related to MS the same way. And so I asked the doctor, you sure that's not fibromyalgia? He's like, no. All right. Neurologists, they know what they're doing. Okay. But as I was researching the other day, I'm learning about being an empath and all of this other stuff. Um, and I came across an article about that people who are empaths, they tend to have fibromyalgia, fibroid myalgia. You know what I'm saying? I said it already correctly. It's early because of the sensitivity of them being exposed to all these different energies from all these different people, and sometimes it leaves its mark and it affects your nervous system. Okay, interesting. Kind of makes sense. So that a lot of people who are empaths find that they suffer from fibromyalgia. Now, MS is like the next step up or a different type of step. And I know that what I have experienced over the years growing up and in my life, I knew I was put into situations that today I know were for my greater good, but they were against my nature. Okay. I may have mentioned before, I was in law enforcement for a long time, and it was a good career. It helped me take care of my family, my children, helped me educate my son in a private school, and give my daughter an education in a suburban public school district, which was great. But it's not something that I wanted to do. It's not, I didn't grow when I was a little girl. I didn't say, oh, when I grow up, I want to be a correction officer. I want to be a police officer or a fire person. No, that was not my interest at any point in my life. But opportunity came to me, maybe out of necessity, I guess, to provide for myself and my child, and to have benefits. And so I went ahead and I took the test and I passed it and I became a correction officer. Working in the city of New York and Rikers Island, AKA the belly of the beast. So I'm an empath. Now, I don't know that, right? I'm just a single mommy trying to make sure that I can, take care of my kid. And I was already living out of the city because it was too much for me even then at that young age. I had gone away to school upstate, and when I came back to Brooklyn, it was like, oh no, it was too much because I had been upstate New York near lakes and cows and apple trees and a whole different experience. And so when I came home from college and I had my baby, I said, oh, no, I can't let her live like this. I can't have her growing up like this. I know how it affected me. And of course, now that she's a grown person, I see that she probably could have handled it, but it wasn't the point. You look at your baby, you want to protect your child. And so I figured that this would be a better atmosphere to try to move away from that. And again, that's how I, continue to keep contact with my pastor's family, because at the same time that I was moving out here, they had already moved out here. And my pastor, who was this gentleman's friend, best friend actually, um, my pastor, Elder Conley, he had passed away, and but he had come to live out here, and I had come to visit with him and his family because I used to be in the choir and do all of that good stuff, and missionary, young missionary, and all this other stuff. Because I always had a thing for church. I always had a thing for God. I always had a thing to want to share a message. So anyway, when I came out here after he passed away, um, yeah, I know my son just bought me some coffee. Thank you, from McDonald's. And I'm not a coffee. I'm a tea person, but um, I needed coffee this morning. So anyway, when came out here and continued my membership in their church out here now. But again, I knew them all growing up because we all were in the same church. And like I said, my pastor and their father, who was also a pastor, were best friends, right? The pastor that died. This is Elder Cook. Elder Cook passed away. But Elder Cook was friends with, and I don't normally do this, but we're going to do this today. This was my pastor, Elder Conley. All right, now he died back in 1980, I guess 81 or 82. But that's how close his picture is that I could just grab it like that because he and I were very, very close, very good friends. He was like a mentor, a father figure growing up. So I just turned my attention to his to Pastor Cook because I said, well, if Elder Conley could count on him, and he could be his best friend. That'll be the church that I attend. I'll go to his church, and so that's what I did. But like I said, things happen over the years. But I was able to get this job and worked and did what I needed to do. But at the same time, I knew that that's not what my spirit wanted me to do, and that's not where my spirit wanted me to be. So, but I found a way to survive within it for over 23 years. I even moved up the ranks and became a captain, and then I retired. Um, and I still remained on the job even after I was diagnosed with MS because I had a goal. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to provide for my family and for myself. And so that is what I did. So I'm retired now, and now I can do what I want to do, which is this to keep working on learning more about spirit and how it impacts my life and how it impacts the lives of those around me. Now, this reading tarot and all of this would not work at the Church of God in Christ. What? No. So there we part ways. I'm, hey, I don't feel any less connected to God than I did when I was going to church Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And again, not because anybody was making me, because I chose to do this on my own. My mother was very upset because she originally, at the time, she was Episcopalian. They go to church an hour in, an hour out, go home. What is this you're doing? You're in church all the time. You must be in a cult, that kind of stuff. She was freaking out. But that's where I was drawn to. That was what I was drawn to. Um, and I got myself to church on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And all. That was me. No one making me do any of this stuff. So again, no one making me get to the point where I am now, where I feel like this is my calling. This is what I'm meant to do for myself and for my family and for those people who find this interesting and can connect with what I'm feeling. Okay. So again, physical ailments that we manifest over time, again, can be connected to physical ailment, yes, but is there a spiritual thing behind it? So I'm figuring so far, because I'm still learning and I'm still on this journey. Thank you, Monique. So sweet. Peace, love, and light. Thank you. Same to you, babe. You know, I'm seeing that there was a reason that me being in that environment that I was so trying so hard to protect myself from and trying so hard to protect my child from, here I am in the midst of it. Rikers Island. 10 jails. There are 10 separate jails on Rikers Island. One jail is for women. All the rest are for men. And one facility was for adolescents. And that's where I was working. 16 to 19-year-old males. Can you imagine a 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old boys locked up, awaiting trial with nothing to do all day? Don't let nobody tell you the nonsense about, oh, they got cable and they got this and they ain't got nothing. They got time to figure out how to be better criminals. And then they mix them in with adult males in some areas. And sometimes the adult males, all they can teach them to do is to learn how to jail. And for me, it just was so against my character. I went to college to be a teacher, a liberal arts school. I was an English major. I was into literature, Shakespeare, and all this other stuff. What am I doing in the middle of C-74 with these? Each one of those facilities could house at least 1,000 people. All of those different energies and all those different scenarios, all those different situations. Not everybody that goes to jail is guilty, and some people are only there because their families can't afford to bail, or there are other people who are there because they've been remanded for $1 and no one pays the dollar. There was a time that they would let the clergy, people who are assigned to the facilities, go through and see who had bails less than $20 and the church would pay it. They stopped that too. And that means that you're keeping people in jail for, stuff that really must be minor if their bail is less than $20, right? But the government pays the city a certain amount of money for each body, for each, and that's what they refer to them as, bodies, for each one of the inmates. So stop the church from paying the bail and let these people sit, because then the department makes money and then people make overtime. And it's just a vicious cycle of stuff that I came to understand. And I worked within because I had to, but it would grieve me. When I would leave for vacation, they give us 3 weeks off twice a year because they had to believe that in order to keep people from losing it. Because even if you're not a spiritual person, if you're just just a person that's not into that type of lifestyle or is not used to it, it's so concentrated that when I would leave for vacation, I would feel like this relief. And then 3 weeks come and it's time to go back over that bridge to go back to work. And it was like this cloud, this dread that I would feel. That went on for 23 years, you know? So it's resulted in a physical ailment that I may or may not have had. Maybe I would have always had the fibromyalgia, because maybe this is part of being an empath, and it's not. They say it's not hereditary, but okay, whatever. They don't know. Like my son says, doctors don't know. That's why they call it practice. They don't know what they're doing. They're just practicing. He told me that when he was a little boy, when I first got diagnosed with MS, and he says, doctors don't know what they're doing. They're just practicing. That's why they call it a practice. Made sense to me at the time, and it still does. They don't know, but you just have to know and be grateful. I'm grateful. I have my eyesight. I'm grateful. Even when I fall and broke my leg after I retired, I broke my leg. I was like a year into the retirement, and I broke my leg for nothing, for absolutely nothing. Walking from my bed to the computer upstairs, bang, broke my leg, couldn't even see it. I just couldn't stand on it. And when I went to the emergency room and they took x-rays, they were like, "Oh, you fractured your ankle." I was like, "What?" No blood, no nothing, just couldn't stand on it. I ended up having to have an operation. Oh my God, my Jesus, whatever. But slowed me down quite a bit. But I thank God for all of these things, because I know all things work together for the good. But you don't know that while you're in the midst of it. You only learn those things afterwards. All right. And there was a reason why I needed to have that experience, beside being able to make money and secure a pension and benefits for myself and my family. It was so that I would know certain things and that I would be familiar with certain things that I would not have been familiar with in my life. Stories and situations, people, experiences that I was not privy to, that was not my life. As much as people would, when my parents got divorced, I was in the 70s, 60s. Wasn't that common to come from a home of divorced parents? And it wasn't easy, and it was bad. But there were things that went on in jail that I saw, and cases that came, through with people. When I was there, that's when the Central Park case was going on. I was that was like one of the first early times in my career. I was still on probation, I think. How did I go to work when I could look in those boys' faces and know that they were innocent? I knew it. And work in a situation where if you try to show any compassion or understanding to an inmate, then you become the enemy. You are inmate lover. You're the bad guy now. And now you're suspect. So you can't say anything. You can't argue a point or bring up anything. But when you see these young men, and I worked with men, I didn't work with female inmates, which, from what I understand, is a whole different experience, and kind of, in a way, more difficult than the guys. The guys, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of fighting. With the women, it's a lot of arguing, and they can be really, really vicious, not only to each other but to the staff. And there's limits on what the staff can do, of course. So I didn't have that experience, but I guess that was okay, because I grew up with mothers and sisters, my mother and my sisters and my aunts, and that. So I guess they said that was enough female energy for me. So I needed to see more, I guess, of what goes on with males, and maybe that's why I can be more sympathetic to them at times, or at least understand where they're coming from, because I've seen different scenarios, and they're all little boys basically, and they just, life has treated them different ways, things that they had no choice about, just like the rest of us, just like we women haven't, and they just react to it in a different way for different reasons. So that taught me that kind of compassion, right? And the light in this scenario, getting back to your reading and off of my nonsense, unconditional love. So, unconditional love is what's going to heal the situation and take away this pain, and maybe even heal these physical ailments. The forgiveness that needs to be shown. Maybe the battle that needs to become love, that needs to ease up, to put down the defenses, to forgive maybe that would be the healing. Unconditional love would be the way to get there. So, whatever you may be holding against your twin, whatever you feel you still have to defend yourself about, whatever you have your guard up about with your twin, maybe the way to heal this is to understand the power and the right that you have to give and receive unconditional love. And no one has to understand or approve of it. Again, forgiveness is not for anyone else, it is for yourself. Unconditional love is often misrepresented in the spiritual community. Contrary to what now seems to be a commonly adopted belief, unconditional love is less to do with allowing poor behavior and more about not having expectations or controlling another. This confusion causes people to allow their beloveds or other loved ones to treat them in ways that does not serve them in the name of loving without conditions. When you recognize a deep soul connection with another, it may be easy to fall into the trap of keeping them in your life regardless of how they treat you. Here's the thing about unconditional love. It's actually very simple. It is accepting someone for the exact person they are at this moment, understanding them and why they behave in certain ways. It is loving them for the soul that they are, without any changes, conditions, or controlling them. Most importantly, unconditional love starts with being a warrior for yourself and asserting your boundaries and knowing when it's best to love someone from afar. So, unconditional love for yourself, respecting their free will, loving them without having conditions on them being with you, loving them without having the condition of them being with you, or expectations for what they need to do. Just like the couple depicted on this card, they will enforce boundaries, but also love their children no matter what path they choose to walk. If you are unsure of how to balance unconditional love and boundaries, there is a video description of these cards that are found on the website of the author. And it's on YouTube. So it's www.youtube.com/this way. Krista Bell Jessica. All right, that's CHRISTABELJESSICA. And she'll give you further description, a video description of unconditional love as she saw it when she authored this deck. But the unconditional love that you will be showing when you learn or when you understand the need to forgive, the need to stop the arguing, stop fighting, accept the situation for what it is, and just know that whatever is happening, remember, whatever is happening is for the greater good. When you're in this position as you are being a divine masculine or divine feminine, you need have the opportunity to look at life differently and solve your problems in a different manner, okay? Because you're learning and you're also an example. So, no one may understand how you could forgive this person for what they put you through or the system for what it did to you or whatever scenario there is. Others may not understand it. But it doesn't matter if anybody understands it because the only thing that you need to worry about is what's going on between you and the divine. How is this unconditional love being shown to others in any way detrimental. It can't be because it's about love, right? And we know that God is love. And at the end of the day, all this is about is love. Hi, Renee. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like my hair. I don't like to really come, I usually cover my head and everything, but like I said, I got things to do. And I didn't want to, I know once I get into the city and once all of this is going on, this is going to be a big funeral. Thank you, Florence. Thank you. Um, this is going to be a big funeral. That's why we got the viewing is from 10 to 2, no, 10 to 12, and then the service starts at 12 o'clock. But the interment isn't going to be till Monday. And they're going to have the repast, which is the dinner and all of that after the service with the families. This is going to be all day. So I doubt very highly that I'm going to have any energy left to come back and do any readings today. And I already didn't do a reading yesterday. Thank you so much, Renee. Thank you so much. So Pastor Raymond Cook. So I think he was about 82, 81 or 82. And he's a father of 5. He has 4 boys and a daughter. And they're all um, saved, as they call it, in the church. And his mother-in-law and his wife, the Church of God in Christ is built around family. So they have always been very active in the church. There are just so many wonderful stories about him and his wife. They met each other at church. They went on one date where she said her mother showed up. She went to pick him up at the train station because they lived in Far Rockaway and he lived in the city. And she picked him up at the train station. Her mother was right in the car. And her mother stayed for the entire date. And by the time he got home, he decided that he was in love and he called her back and asked her to marry him. And a month later, they got married. And they've been married ever since then. Can you imagine? That's a wonderful thing. And they raised their children up in the spiritual path. Always Church of God in Christ, all the way through. Not that they hadn't had struggles and stuff, but this is the foundation that they provided for their children, and it's worked out beautifully. They have a son that's a doctor, architect. Um, their daughter is a registered nurse, and I believe that she went on to get further not certification, but further degrees. And her son, their grandson, is going to school to be a doctor too. And they've had a big family. All of them play instruments or sing. Um, and this is a Black family, and these are not rich people. When he started that church, this is a story I have to tell because he had been working as head of security for Bloomingdale's in Manhattan for years. And he retired on the way home on the train on the Long Island Railroad. He had just moved out to Long Island. He had just bought his home. They had 4 kids, and his wife was pregnant with their son. And all of their kids were teenagers or at least young adults, but she was pregnant with this baby. On the way home on the train from his retirement party, he had a stroke. Think about that. But again, that was back in the 80s, and he just passed away Monday. And he still stayed in the church, and he still pastored the church and raised those children. His son, the youngest one, is the same age as my daughter. And they were close. They grew up and they were friends. And his wife babysat for me sometimes when I had to work and exposed my daughter to the church teaching that I didn't have time to do because I'm busy working. But he was still able to survive, and his wife and his mother-in-law. They just kept holding up that banner of Christianity and holiness and all this other stuff. And it worked out well. Like I said, it all been successful. Um, one of his sons is now the pastor of the church, and his daughter had married a guy, and he ended up being a pastor of another church. So she's the first lady, they call it, of the church, where her husband is the pastor. So it all worked out. It's all working out. It's still working out every day, every day, every day. And when his wife called me to tell me what had happened. These are cards from the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms. All right, we're going to see what it is that we need to do. What you're facing coming into this time period and with these lessons. Oh no, that's too much. Let's see what else. When she called me to tell me that he had passed away, she said, "Oh, and don't forget to come by, and I made some preserves, and I have a bottle of preserves for you." And she's on the phone calling people and telling them that her husband passed away. But she's saying, "No, by the way, I made preserves. I put preserves up." Still showing love. Still being generous. Still sharing. And they know I don't go to church. They know that I don't, pay tithes and all that other stuff. I'm stepped away for that for whatever reason. I'm sure that they don't know what it is because I've never had that conversation. But they know. They might not know about this because I know they probably wouldn't. But it doesn't matter. We all love each other. We see each other in the street. If something happens, we all love each other. We call each other. We support each other. It's a relationship. And they're there in my life for a reason. And I believe that I'm in their life for a reason too. Wow. Okay, so we're dealing with a situation where you find that your body, you're physically feeling pain. And the message is the reason for these pains is because of your failure to forgive and you keeping up this defenses, keeping up your defenses and refusing to forgive. But the healing comes from unconditional love. The messages that came from the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms is survival. The Desert Prince. This talks about survival. This talks about false promises. Number 19, 1 and 9 is 10. So this is about individuality. Might have something to do with somebody who is a Leo. Or that could be an aspect of something in your chart. So this is saying whatever it is that you need to say in order to survive in a situation. I think that's what that's talking about. That's what Spirit said. Sisters of the Season was the next card. This talks about cycles of growth, natural law, and divine order. Number 17, 1 and 7 is 8. 8 is infinite, right? 8 is divinity. Infinity. So, natural law, cycles, right? Living, birth, life, death, natural cycle of life, divine order. Understanding that this is all part of the cycle of life and everything that's going on, all of these lessons is part of getting you in touch with your divinity and helping divine order to be established. Okay, Florence, thank you. Bless you. Thank you so much. Yeah, don't forget you can always come back and watch it later if you got to go. Yeah, Monique, that is family. Yes, Renee. Um, yeah, that's family. Those are my family, even though they're not my family, you know. But I, both of my children were christened in the Church of God in Christ, and my son is a lot younger than my daughter, and so I was definitely not attending church on a regular basis. I was working my career, whatever was going on, but I still wanted to give him that foundation. And he could choose to do whatever he wants to do later. And they have my daughter. She had become a Buddhist at some point. Hmm. And my son, he's gone from being an atheist to an agnostic to I don't know, but he plays death metal and all this other stuff. But I don't get it. Whatever they want to do, whatever they want to do, it makes me more happy to know that they believe in something. And so now my son seems like he's starting to believe in something, especially since he's around here seeing all that goes on with me. And he's like, "Mom, if I wasn't here, I wouldn't believe this." He says, "But I see it and I could tell somebody it's real." And I appreciate that because this is a person that doesn't, that, had said or felt, that he didn't believe in anything. um, so I just saw that as him being open. I sent him to a private school. It was non-sectarian, so he was more open than maybe other kids his age would be. And so now because he's open and because he is my kid, and regardless of what he thinks, there's whatever's in me is in them too. And so he's embracing what he's seeing. And I appreciate that I'm an example to my children, not only about being spiritual, but also about accepting everybody's differences and whatever their path is, knowing it's their path. Hi, Ananda. Okay, thank you. Good morning. So survival, divine order, and the next card that came here, the Eagle King, the big picture, angelic help. This is number 12, so 12 is 3, right? 3 we know is Trinity, divinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, if you believe in Christianity like that. This is being able to look at something like a bird's eye view, to be able to look at a situation and get help from the ancestors, from the angels, to help you to decipher what it is that's really going on. So let me take a look at the Desert Prince. See what we can get from that. Desert Prince is number 19. When you stumble upon the Desert Prince, you receive a gift. Plant life that exists in the natural environment, in the desert environment, is well defended. It's tough and succulent, even though it gets little to no water. In spite of external conditions, extraordinary life form can thrive. Be tough, have courage, and dare to dream no matter what the circumstances. It may seem to be a hard time, but not only will you survive, you will thrive. Hi, Miss Catwoman. In spite of conditions, you'll succeed. Dry spells are also true tests of faith and courage. Expect nothing else than that which is in your most precious dreams and watch miracles manifest. Expect nothing less than what is in your most precious dreams and watch miracles manifest. Pay attention to false promises. Don't be swayed by shortcuts and flattery. The best way out of this is to accept that every life has a desert, period. Just accept this for now and cross it one step at a time. You'll be led to green pastures and fresh, clean water with the divine, appropriate timing. So, this is not to get ahead of your skis, right? Don't be so passionate about getting to the end that you allow yourself to compromise yourself and put yourself in a position that is not true to who you are. False promises, right? Taking moves and oaths and promising to be something or someone or be whatever when that's not your that's not your that's not God's plan for you. That's your plan for you because you think that you can get to your end goal if you skip around these steps and go here because this is it. Remember, all that glitters is not gold. All that glitters is not gold. Looking at things with the bigger picture. Keep your head up. Exactly, Ananda. They have been multiplying without even trying to, manifesting. Yes. Hi, Miss Catwoman, if I didn't say hello to you. Please make sure you like the video here that gives notification that I'm up because I certainly didn't give notification that I was up, and I apologize for that. But you guys, I appreciate everybody that comes and is so patient with me and forgives me as I learn how to maneuver YouTube and now Vimeo. All right. So, one and eight is 9, 10, 11, 12. 1 and 2 is 3. Oh, okay. Well, we're on a twin flame journey, so that makes sense. Okay. Desert Prince, the Sisters of the Seasons. All right, here we go. Sisters of the Seasons. This could be talking about dealing with other women too, if you're female, or even if you're a male, a lot of female energy around you. That has its own challenges, I would imagine. When the Sisters of the Season meet you on your path, they remind you that everything has a natural rhythm that obeys a higher law. Just as the seasons magically pass, be reminded that the nature of birth, growth, harvest, and decay cannot be altered. So if you keep your path on your path with determination and discernment, allowing for the natural course of events to unfold, success is assured. Divine appropriate timing is guiding your desires into perfect manifest form. This is a very good period to start new things. As you moved out of winter into the beginning of spring, continue with patience and be aware of the rhythms of your opportunity. There will be periods when things slow down and begin anew, move into fruition, and then slow down again in a never ending natural flow. Be mindful of which sister greets you, for she points directly at the next. Each moment counts now. They're also sending you a warning that you may be trying to jump the gun and go from winter to summer without paying heed to spring. Okay, so I talk about trying to get to the end goal without doing the middle work, right? Moving too quickly, looking for shortcuts, and artificially trying to prolong a hope for a result that will not yield you what you desire. There are no shortcuts. It's time to rethink your plans. All four sisters are nature's cherished daughters, and they're all important. So be careful of the difficulties they force you to endure when they try to trick you, when you try to trick them away from each other. Better to let nature take her course. Her daughters will be very happy, and so will you if you let them express themselves in order. Okay, and we know that old commercial, it's not nice to fool with Mother Nature. So if nature is telling us that we have to go through the winter, I'm sorry, we have to go through the spring, the fall, the winter, and the summer, right? No, spring, summer, spring, winter, and fall. Fall and winter. We have to, whatever the cycle is, y'all know what I'm talking about. We have to go through the cycle, and we can't skip the parts. We can't skip ahead. You can't read, you can't get to the end of the book because it's not written for you to read. You don't have the tools, okay? You are not, you didn't make this, you're not conscious of the contract that you signed. So you don't know. And you can't be trying to rush it because we all have to go on our own journey. And no one's journey is more right or more wrong than another when it comes to these matters, okay? Because it's all playing out the way the divine has it playing out. We're just acting out our parts. Yes. And when you feel your intuition is growing and it becomes more powerful, it's liberating, but it's scary too. Because now you got to figure out what are you discerning and which are the voices that is discernment, which is your intuition and which is your ego. I was told that if I get a message and it makes sense to me intellectually, then that is my intuition. If it's logical, in whatever way my logic works, if I can find a way to justify it with what I know to be true, logically, scientifically, if I can find a way that that is resolved, then that is my intuition. So taking me out of it and looking at it objectively, you know. So sometimes, okay, I was rushing things, but was forced to retreat and go into hermit. No, we are not in separation. All right, yeah, because the lessons take on a different air when you are in contact, when you are reunited um, with your partner. It's a different, when you weren't living with them or you weren't seeing them all the time, you could just take a step back and process things on your own. But now you're not just processing things on your own, you're processing things as a couple. Okay? When you are in separation, but you're in contact, that's, you still have a freedom. As much as you may resent being away from them, you still have a freedom to work on your own stuff when you realize that the only thing that you can control is your own stuff and that they have to control their own. But when you're together, there's a chance for you to be supportive as you both go through these lessons, but that doesn't mean it's going to be any easier. It's just that we're learning to support one another. We're learning not to run away, okay, but to be open, to be forgiving, and to display unconditional love. Okay? When you are stuck, right? What do I always say? Ask your ancestors. That's where the answer lies. You tapping into the divine because they want you to have a personal relationship with them. They want you to understand it. You don't have to go through anything. You don't have to go through cards. You don't have to go through church. You don't have to go through the pastor, the priest, the bishop. You don't have to do any of that. You have the power yourself. You have the power within yourself because it's all based in love. God is love, and we're all parts of that. We're all parts of God, right? If we are created in God's image, then aren't we all part of God? You just have to go inside and be still and listen and ask for divine order to be established in your life. Ask for divine order to be established in your relationship. And if you need to be released from this, if you do it with love, with unconditional love, then you won't have to repeat this karmic cycle again. That's the whole point. This doesn't mean that you have to grow old and be together the rest of your life, or maybe it does. But what it's saying is that you need to be prepared to know that if this thing, if this relationship doesn't serve your higher good at some point, and you have to walk away from it, it's not going to be in anger. It's not going to be in resentment. It's going to be in acceptance. And that's the secret. To be able to release this person to be their best selves while you do what you need to do to be your best self. To fine tune your relationship with God. This relationship here is here for a reason. Because you need to nurture this person and they need to nurture you. There are lessons that you all can learn from each other. There are hurts that are common to each other that you all may not know about. And you need to dig deep. And when you do that, maybe you need to have someone who you love around to help you handle those things. You may trigger each other, catalyst in some places and about some things that no one else could get to you because your divine partner is a divine partner and they have a way, they have a power that you may not understand. It's the same way that you have a power over them that they don't understand, but they can trigger you and get you to a certain place because you were created for this, for each other, to help you both. And again, you're being an example to others. And the lessons that you're learning and you're sharing, you are helping to spread the word, to spread the message, to spread harmony, to spread peace, and a deeper understanding of the divine. So at the end of the day, they're going to help you to look at the bigger picture from a bird's eye view. They're going to help you to be able to discern what is true, what is false, to accept the cycles of life, that this union with your twin flame is not the end of the game. This is part of the journey. And the part of the journey that may have you married to this person for 70 years or 60 years or 50. Or being friends with this person the rest of your life, knowing that whatever challenges comes up, this person is there for you and you are there for them. Even if you're not married or even living together, you don't even have to call each other on the telephone because the communication is in another level. You've reached another level, right? You've reached another level in your ascension, both of you. So know that no matter what, there will always be a connection. You'll be able to send these messages and receive these messages, and you all are going to be working on something, whether or not you're in each other's faces or apart. At some point, that may happen. So, what I'm saying is don't be resentful, don't be impatient, and don't be angry. Don't be angry. Understand that it is all working together for the good, that it's all part of the cycle of life. That it doesn't mean anything bad about either of you. Either of you. If at some point your lessons take you away from each other, it doesn't make him a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person. It actually probably means that you've outgrown this part of it and you're ascending to another part of it. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them and that they don't love you or that you're not lovable or any of that other stuff. It just means that you got more work to do and you got more lessons to share, because now you're not just learning, you're able to share. And speaking from experience. Okay, this came out, the Dragon's Duel. Inner conflict, morality, and a conscious choice, number 23. So 23 is 5, right? And this is a battle, but it's also healing because it's got that infinite thing going on. There is a way to get out of it because even though it is infinity, it's not closed. But this is just something that you have to solve within yourself and make a choice about which of these paths you're going to follow. Which of these dragons are you going to allow to win? Is it the dragon of wealth and the end game right now, or is it the one of a slower path, maybe not so pretty? Whichever one you entertain, whichever one you entertain more is the one that you are going to manifest, because you already know how powerful you are and how powerful your thoughts are. You manifest stuff that you didn't even mean to manifest. You conjure up stuff by accident sometimes. So there's a conflict inside of you that you're dealing with. And you have to make a conscious choice about which way you're going to go. But again, that's why the Ego King is here, to help you look at this from a higher plane, from a divine plane, knowing all that you know, knowing about divine order, knowing about forgiveness, knowing about unconditional love, knowing that you can work to heal these physical pains, not only by medical, but also by holistic and spiritual means. If you know that you're having all these back pains and you can't find a way to solve it, and if you learn that That means that your ancestors want to speak to you when you are experiencing these back pains. It's not going to cost you nothing to figure it out. And how do you figure it out? By going to your ancestors and saying, hey, I'm here. And see if the back pain starts to ease. I'm telling you what I know. Finding out what besides science and what besides medical, because you do have to attend to that, because there's blessings in that too. Okay, there's the creator would not have given science these tools and allowed certain people to go into these fields who are natural healers if it wasn't for us to take advantage of. But at the same time, the creator didn't put trees and bushes and rivers and crystals and rocks and minerals and all these other things in the atmosphere for us not to use either. Everything, the fullness of the land, abundance. We have dominion over all of this, right? That's what they said in Genesis. So there are things in nature, there are forces in nature, including the angels, including the fairies, including leprechauns, including all of these things that are there to help us, teach us lessons, protect us. And you don't have to convince anybody else. All you have to do is believe it yourself. And whatever you believe in, however way you believe, it's going to work for you in the best interest of yourself, in divine order. And you may have to deal with all these different modalities in order to get you back to where you started in the first place, but then you'll have a better understanding of why you believe what you believe. It's not because this is the way I was raised and my mother was this and my father was this, and so therefore I'm that. You know, like they pass down their religion like they pass down the last name. Why? Okay, I'm a Smith. But why? How did I get to be a Smith? So this is like doing your spiritual genealogy. Why am I doing this? Why am I involved in this? What do I need to do to hold on to these lessons or to ascend here? Okay. So just like that was good. Thank you, Spirit. Ashe. Spiritual genealogy. Why do you believe what you believe? Do you believe what you believe just because it's out of tradition? Or do you really believe it? That's the question that only you can answer, because you could be fronting for a whole bunch of folks. You could have everybody convinced that you believe what they believe and don't believe it at all. You could be doing that on purpose, or you could be doing that subconsciously. But when you're by yourself and when you're alone, do you ask questions or do you just accept it? This is the way. That's okay. But there's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. That's how we learn. And there are no stupid questions. Okay, Virgo. I don't know why I am doing all of this rambling this morning, knowing I got places to be and stuff to do. But I'm going to do one more thing, and then I'm going to get ready to go to the city. And I want to thank everybody for joining me and for giving me thumbs ups, and I appreciate it so much. Um, I'll do the second part of this reading, which will be with the Tarot of Sexual Magic, when I get back, or at least not right now. So I'll continue this. Look at this. Oh, my Lord. From the Conscious Angel, from the Conscious Spirit Oracle by Kim Dwyer. Number 27, Spark of the Divine. Messages from your ancestors, right? 2 and 7 is 9. Recognize the divine spark within me and recognize that I am a part of all creation. You're welcome. You're welcome, Renee. Thank you. You are a part of all creation, and you have a right to establish a relationship with the divine that feels right for you. You are no less divine than anyone else. You are no less godly than anyone else, whatever your denomination is. As long as your journey is a journey that is taking you closer to God, closer to the Creator, closer to understanding, closer to forgiveness and unconditional love, how could you be wrong? How could it be wrong? And if it is wrong, who's telling you it's wrong? Man, woman? Seek your answers from the divine. Seek your answers from your ancestors. Seek your answers from the Creator, and don't leave your spiritual understanding in the hands of someone else. They can, give you a point of view. They can speak to your soul, the words that they say. If you go to church and the pastor gives a great sermon, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's good. And if it speaks to your soul, it was meant for you to hear it. Just like if you turn on YouTube and I'm talking and you come into the room, if there's a message for you to hear, it was meant for you to hear. That's why you heard it. But that doesn't make me the boss of your spirituality, just like it doesn't make the pastor the boss of your spirituality. The same way I'm giving you what I'm getting intuitively, what spirit is telling me is the same, hopefully, way that they're getting their messages from spirit also. They just have a bigger platform. Or not even bigger, a more intimate platform, because now you're dealing with someone on a more, you can reach out and touch them if you go into church and that kind of stuff. You belong to a church. And of course, you respect that, right? Respect the God in them. You don't have to listen to everything they say, or you can listen to everything they say if it speaks to you like that. Maybe the lessons that they're giving you is what your soul needs, because maybe you were swinging from the chandeliers in your last life. I don't know. But you get what you need, I believe. You get what you need when you need it. Because all things are done in divine order. But recognize who you are and how special and how important you are. That the divine put you here for a reason, and they're counting on you to help get the vibration up so that the earth can be saved, so that humanity can ascend, and so that we can reach our true potential and understanding of spirit and an understanding of the Creator. That's why we pray. Anyway, you guys, thank you all, Virgo, for coming and joining me today. And pray for the family of Elder Raymond Cook. But they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They're committed in their beliefs. Do you know the pastor's mother-in-law? His mother-in-law is still alive. She's over 100 years old. She's still alive, and she's still there. She's still riding in the car. She's still there. And she's lived her life following this doctrine. And it has worked for her, worked out well for her. So there's no disrespect to the church. or the doctrine at all. Recognizing that that is what is needed for you, for your soul, for her soul, and perhaps for mine too. But obviously, I'm processing it differently right now, and I'm comfortable with it. And I'm doing what it is that I wanted to do, which is to teach and to help. Even with the experience of working in the jail, those were skills that I was able to acquire during that experience that even helped me do this. And there's a toughness that I guess I needed to acquire in order to be able to discern and to stand up for myself and to know my truth and be able to stand up for my truth and not to be afraid of anybody, to be respectful of authority, but at the same time, you're not my boss. I don't even use that word boss. I hate that. I I was a supervisor. I did not like when my officers called me boss. I would stop them. So I'm not trying to be your boss, and I don't want nobody trying to boss me. That could be that masculine energy in me that I recognize and I accept, and that Aries. But again, it's a six, so it's with love, but it's love for myself, love for the divine, and love for myself, and respect for myself, and then maybe, maybe making sure that the respect is reciprocal. If I can be patient with you, I expect or hope that you be patient with me. But if I see that that's not what's going to happen, then I'm not going to be mad. I'm going to forgive you of your trespasses as I forgive those who trespass against, as I forgive those who trespass against me, right? That's what we want God to do. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So we need to forgive those who trespass against us too. Spark of the divine. So I'll be seeing you guys later on the other side, and I will be coming back and doing a reading for somebody tomorrow, hopefully. Okay, so enjoy your Saturday and pray for me. And I love you guys. Thank you so very much. All right. And thank you for the compliments on my hairdo. I don't know. I like wearing my hair covered, but maybe I'll do this more. I'll let you all see me without my hair wrapped more often. We'll see. Anyway, talk to you all soon. Love you. And bye. Ashe, namaste.